Welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast, or welcome if you're new here. I trust that you're in the right space. This is a space where we explore healing, identity, and what it truly means to come home to yourself. Today's conversation feels especially aligned because I'm sitting down with someone who speaks the same language, the language of the nervous system, the body, and the quiet ways women abandon themselves in the name of being strong. Dr. Julie Merriman is a trauma specialist, author of In Pursuit of Soul Joy, and the creator of Soul Joy and the Radiance Method. For over 25 years, she has worked at the intersection of neuroscience and somatic wisdom, helping high-achieving women break free from what she calls the virtuous trap of self-sacrifice. What I appreciate about Julie is she doesn't just do surface-level empowerment. She works with where burnout actually lives, in the nervous system. She helps women understand what productivity hacks fail, why desire disappears, why exhaustion lingers, and how regulation, boundaries, and embodied healing brings radiance back online for a woman. From her Texas ranch, she's leading a movement of women, especially in midlife, who are done living on fumes and ready to reclaim their energy, their pleasure, and their visibility. So welcome, Julie. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Anita. I am so excited to be here. I have been just enjoying your Instagram so much.
I'm so glad. Actually, so before we dive in, I've done a new thing with the podcast, and I kind of started this on my solo episodes, and I've been bringing it with my guests, and it's, will you take a breath with me?
Of course. Thank you. Okay.
So it's just to take a moment to regulate together. So if you guys are listening, please gently feel your feet on the ground if you're able to. And you just want to feel enough so you feel that support. And from there, we're going to allow our bodies to just drop in, allow your spine to soften, and take a slow inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold at the top for 2. And exhale through your mouth for 6. And again, one more time, just inhale for 4. Pause. And exhale for 6. And for the listeners, or you and Julie, I want you to notice if your jaw is softening, is it tightening, what you're feeling and experiencing in your body. And if your chest even has any type of sensation, hopefully you feel a little more relaxed and present in your body in this moment.
Yeah, my chest really reacted. My heart chakra was like, oof. Sensitive and spacious.
I love it. So I always start my podcast off with, what is bringing you joy in this current season?
Oh, girl. So much. I feel like a kid in a candy store. And we'll get into it as we talk, but the older I get, the more vivacious and energetic I feel. So much going on. But this weekend, we're loading up the kids who are in their 40s and our grandkids, and we're going to Costa Rica to spend the week. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with the family. So that's bringing me a lot of joy. And I've got a book about to come out called Are We Going to Have Sex or What? For women over 50, about healing their nervous system and showing up in the bedroom more alive. And so I'm really looking forward. I'm having fun with that book tour and promoting that book.
Oh, how exciting. I didn't even see that one. Oh, wow. I have to admit, just a little side note. So I have a mama in her 50s, and I literally was like, today's guest would be perfect for you to look into. She was like, really? Why is that? And I was like, just trust me on that. Just trust me. I think she would be great for you.
I got something for you.
I got something great for you. So I'm curious, when you think about the season of life, how does it currently feel your body compared to maybe other seasons where you were living a little more on fumes?
Oh, sure. And that's what my book In Pursuit of Soul Joy is all about. My Phoenix moment where I went scorched earth. I was so crispy fried, burned out. Oh, girl, I didn't know how to be embodied. I'm a therapist, just floating head of competence, nobody attached. So what I learned through my comeback and how I live now is to be very embodied. Regular body scans, stopping the scroll. course, I live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's wonderful. I can go outside and just drink in some vitamin D, get myself regulated a bit, look at the trees, whatever it might be. My horse lives, when I say backyard, it's not like in the backyard. It's like there's 1,000 acres back there. So he's playing. But I go out and horses are so good at helping you regulate your nervous system. And Rex he'll put his ears in certain places. And my goal is to always have his ears up because, instead of back. So, anyway, being embodied and being present is very much how I'm living these days.
Beautiful. What does presence look like for you?
Being right here, right now. I used to spend all my time worried about what was going to happen tomorrow, or I'm pointing to my calendar because I'm old-fashioned. I have a paper calendar. I have a Google one too, but what was on my calendar, or oh my God, I can't believe I said that, so stupid. Beating myself up. Presence means my frontal cortex is fully online. I'm able to be right here, right now, and enjoy the richness of this minute.
Beautiful. So I'm curious, you talk about rescuing women from the virtuous trap of self-sacrifice. What does that trap exactly look like?
Well, there's a lot of traps we set up, but for most of the gals I work with, it's about we serve others, we take care of the house, we take care of the kids, we build our career. We are putting everyone else before ourselves, always, always pouring from that cup and not taking the time to refill that cup. And that throws our nervous system into survival. Fight, flight, fright, fawn, whichever survival mechanism your nervous system likes to go to. A lot of women I work with are stuck in fawn, that appeasing, and if I don't do this, you're not going to like me. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
so, I get it. I mean, I was too. I was born in the early 60s in Fort Worth, Texas. My daddy was a good Southern man, and I loved him. But he made it very clear if I was paying the patoot, if I wasn't being a good girl, if I wasn't appeasing, I might get kicked out of the tribe. I mean, not literally, but our nervous system does not know the difference. So we learn very early to appease, to be part of the group. But then that comes into our adult life, and we are so busy pouring from an empty cup oftentimes, because that's a myth. We can't pour from an empty cup. Because, girl, we can. We do it all the time. And we become the empty cup. And so we're numb and just we're miserable. All right. Miserable is a good word to describe how that feels a lot of times when we are over serving, over functioning is the word, and that fits so many places for women, especially if we're high achieving. We have career goals, we have goals for our kids, goals for our husband, goals for our house. We're just so busy doing that doing is absolutely sacrificing our being of who we need to be and allowing ourselves to take care of ourselves.
Beautiful. Wow. I mean, it comes back to the phrase, we're not human doings, we're human beings. So it comes back to being present as well.
Yeah. And when the very first thing that happens when we're in any kind of a dysregulated nervous system that's over functioning, that brain, the very first thing to go, I mean, it goes to survival mode and it says, well, honey, you don't need pleasure or desire. So that goes offline, and we wonder why the bedroom suffers, or we do something wonderful and we don't feel it. I mean, we're numb because we're stuck, we're frozen in that survival state.
Yeah. So what made you find your way into this work? What originally drew you into the field of counseling and trauma and nervous systems?
Yeah.
Because there has to be a story there.
Oh, there is. Oh, there is. Yeah. So at the ripe age of 16, I made a big decision when I had no frontal cortex online. My brain was very undeveloped. And I got married. I was not even, I like to say I wasn't even pregnant, man. I just chose to get married. I was just I was a lost 16-year-old really looking for a place to land. And this man, he was a we were children, gave me lots of attention, wanted to marry me. And I was so hungry for attention, I mistook that overbearing kind of attention as something kind of yummy. It turned out to be abusive. Wasn't a good thing. It was not a good thing. And it took me a hot minute to get out of that because I was told I was too stupid to go to college. I just was not encouraged to improve myself. So one day I used to always long for someone to talk to. And I can remember this as a child. I just longed for someone to talk to. So when I finally got myself out of that situation, and I did that by, I just started with one college class at a time. It's kind of an accident. I don't know why I went and took that one college class, but that led to another, and that led to another, and that led to a class on domestic violence. And I was like, wait a minute. I think something's up here. And then it led to the dean calling me into their office because I had a 4.0 and I thought I was in trouble. I was like, well, that's a low score. And I was on the dean's list and got a scholarship. And anyway, life just changed from there. College is what really, I think that's why I'm still a professor. That really changed my life. But I also learned that I could be a counselor. And I set about to do that because in the beginning, I was very much wanting to work with abused women. And as things evolved, I realized there's way more to it. If we can have a good nervous system regulation, if we can be regulated, we can be so empowered. We can be so empowered. So that's what led me into counseling. And, now I teach people to be counselors as a professor. I teach graduate students to be counselors. So I feel like it's come full circle for me.
That's so beautiful. I'm curious, what really made you realize that women were quietly living in survival mode? Was it just your own experience, or was it also the conversations you were having or just witnessing at the time?
The very beginning of it was a witness. I've been a licensed professional counselor supervisor for 25, 30 years now, even before I went to get my PhD. And I would see my interns come in because you go to grad school, you have to have 3,000 hours of supervision. It's a lot to be a counselor. Anyway, and they'd come in and they were just bubbly, like, woohoo, let's do this, And then 2 or 3 months later, they're just kind of dragging in, dragging their leg behind them. And I was like, what is going on with these people? And they had very poor boundaries. They were horribly dysregulated because your brain does not know the trauma you're listening to isn't your trauma. So you have the stress cocktail that dumps cortisol and adrenaline. And these sweet souls had no idea how to set boundaries and take care of themselves. So that was really where I first stepped into being interested in researching burnout and compassion fatigue. And as I learned more and more, I realized until we get that nervous system regulated, we can't get to the other things. And that's been very true with the therapy patients I've worked with over the years.
Amazing. So I'm curious because you brought us to burnout and fatigue and exhaustion. So at what point does being strong and capable quietly turn into a chronic exhaustion?
Because you just give and give and give. Like, we swallow our truth to keep the peace. And I do chakra psychology as well as somatic therapy. So it's all about, we're going to get embodied. Yes. And as we're swallowing that truth to keep our peace, that's going to harden your throat. That's going to harden your heart. All kinds of resentment is going to live there. That brings up shame because, oh, my Lanta, I can't have that feeling. That's not an approved feeling, and that's a vicious cycle. So the more we power through, the more we are just these floating heads of competence, not embodied. There comes a time when we have tied our worth to what we're doing, to our outcome, to our performance. And that's a really dangerous place for our nervous system to be because we lose touch with ourselves, we lose touch with our relationships, we just become this disembodied floating head. And that's a side effect of just pushing through and pushing through.
Beautiful. So I'm curious because you touched on boundaries and speaking up. For a woman who's never actually had that as something she saw that she could see herself doing, what is the first step that you would give her?
Oh, I'm going to hug her. I'm a hugging therapist. I warn them. I'm a hugger. And if they don't want to be hugged, I respect that. But first, I'm going to validate and offer safety and comfort because until our nervous system feels safe, the game's off. And help her understand because I am a recovering people pleaser. Every day we got to work on it. I help her to understand that setting a boundary can feel like a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you because your brain thinks, I'm going to die if I set this. I'm dying, man. I can't set this boundary. And it's terrifying. And I want to validate that and be present with her in that because it's very real. And then I'm going to encourage her to start with micro rebellions, just little ones. We don't want to, completely destroy everything. And a micro rebellion is in place to start to teach your nervous system it's okay to pause. Let's let your brain come out of that stress cycle because the brain is waiting for permission. And let's take a little pause. So what that pause might look like, and for those of us who are good with boundaries, they might think, but for those of us that aren't, it truly is terrifying to set a boundary. That micro rebellion, you're asked to do something. You know what? Let me think about that. Maybe even check my calendar. Let me get back with you. Just that getting back with you piece, that sets a pause. And that's an important thing to teach our brain. Mm-hmm. Even if you want to say yes, even if you want to say no, don't answer in that moment. Allow yourself that pause. It's just one thing to start.
Beautiful. And it's interesting because I often think about how a lot of times people want to go kind of dive head first, but our nervous systems really cannot even take that if you think about it, especially when it's trained in people pleasing, outsourcing your worth, validation needing, which are all human needs, but well, I wouldn't say all, but they are part of the human experience.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to get to that point where you create that space for it. It's not just a bulldoze into it or be like a bull in a horn going for it.
Yeah, because that's just going to, okay, the fawn's over. Now I'm in flight. It's just going to put you into something else. We have to be gentle with ourselves. And I think it's very important. Kirsten Neff at the University of Texas, Austin, has researched self-compassion. And it's a book I have all my coming in students read because we are so mean to ourselves. We will say things to ourselves that we would never say to another human.
Mm-hmm.
And opening some space to allow yourself some self-compassion. So I train my clients to kind of pat your face or your hand, wherever you feel most comfortable. And your brain needs to hear, Julie, it's okay. You're doing the best you can. You can set this boundary. And just that touch is going to release some oxytocin, that love hormone that's going to help our heart rate come down, going to help us calm a little bit. And that breathing, as you did at the beginning, that's resetting that vagus nerve. That's available to us anytime. Free. All this stuff is free.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's so incredible because I'm so big on nervous systems and somatic work. It's a big part of my heart and my mission for the women. And one thing I oftentimes find is a lot of people are thinking these are things that you have to pay big amounts of money to learn. And it's literally just things that are available to us that we just tend to ignore.
It seems too easy. Stepping out.
Easy, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just getting up and taking in that sunrise, that our rhythms need that. Walking without multitasking. I have a couple of podcasts. I wish you would listen to them, but don't walk and listen to podcasts. Just listen to the birds, look at the trees, drink in the sunshine. That sunshine is full of vitamin D that's going to help regulate your system, your emotions. Watch what we're doing. The scroll. Oh, my Lanta. Oh, the scroll. That is so dysregulating to our nervous system. And So, taking once a week, or maybe an hour a day fasting from your phone. The apps, and I've been to 2-week meditation retreats. I love meditation. And there's some great apps out there. And I know you know this, Anita, but if our frontal cortex isn't online, none of those meditation apps are going to work. And if our nervous system is completely dysregulated and our brain is in survival, that frontal cortex is not as available to us. So we've got to get that regulated so we can get to the meditation and working on that neuroscience stuff that's going to build us some new neural pathways. But it's baby steps. It's baby steps.
Beautiful. Actually, I'm curious, in your take, what would you say a woman who's listening right now, who might be sitting here going, I don't know if my nervous system is actually dysregulated. What are some subtle signs she might not be aware of?
Bracing. We like this. Our pelvic floor is tight, and we wonder why we have trouble in the bedroom. Because if your pelvic floor is like this, we're not going to have fun. So there's much more to it, but bracing. One thing I invite my clients to do is squeeze, 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 and relax, and notice that difference. And it's amazing how many women will go, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was doing that. Full body scan. That's an eminently important tool. Of course, I'm use a lot of chakra psychology, so I'm going to go by chakras, but you don't have to believe in it to do it. I mean, from the top of your head, eyes, throat, chest, tummy, sits bones, down to your tippy toes, you just bring curiosity. And I tell you, it's part of getting embodied, but so many people go, what are you doing? I don't know how to do that. We approach it slowly. Just be curious. Just be curious. Just notice any physical sensations. And I tell you what, it is very common for a woman to go, oh my God, my stomach is always in this turmoil. Not nauseated, but anxiety. So the more embodied we can get and do those body scans, that gives you clues as to how your nervous system might be activated. For me, it always shows up in my solar plexus. My tummy will just go, just like a bunch of rat or squirrels in there just fighting. The more we can learn to do those body scans and be curious, the more our body will tell us. And it is so full of wisdom. So full of wisdom.
Absolutely. The body does keep a score. There's a reason
does.
it's so popular.
Yeah.
I love this because you are literally speaking my love language, and I get so excited over all this. But I'm curious, for you, was there actually, going back to your story, was there a point where you realized, like, I can't keep doing this, I need to get more embodied? And what did that shift from perhaps being dysregulated to embodied look like for you?
And absolutely there was, and I talk about it in the book because I put my personal story in there. I'm an open book. I put my whole stuff in there. But I can remember when I really had my aha moment, I had just done a big speaking engagement. And it was crammed full, standing ovation. I had, to look at the outside world, it looked like I had succeeded at something. I came off the stage. I was in tears because I was numb. I had not felt anything. I could not internalize the yumminess that was going on. I was so, my nervous system was just cooked. And that was from starting college late, right? I started college late, and I was ambitious and determined to catch up with what I thought where my other peer mates were, and to prove that I wasn't worthless. To prove, because I'd been told so often I was, but not by anyone who's still in my life. But I was so ambitious and pushing and would not allow myself. I was working 17, 18-hour days, teaching aerobics in the morning, working at my day job, having a private practice in the evening. We cannot sustain these things. So I came off the stage. I realized I should feel this. Why am I so numb? And that really began my journey into really exploring what was going on with me and my nervous system and how I had gotten where I was.
Wow. So, what was that shift for you then at that point? When you realized, okay, this isn't how I should be feeling.
Oh,
What
yeah.
did you start to do in order to come back to it? Or what was that like thought process for you of like, this is so off. How do I chill? Not how. I guess maybe how. Because our brains like to go there, right? It's the first question
Right.
that people ask. But it's at that point you had the awareness, which I always
Right.
start everything starts with awareness. But
I,
after that, what was your next step?
yeah. Awareness is everything. There's even a theory model that goes with awareness. But from that, I really did some journaling. For me, kinesthetically, the journaling is very important to me. So I really started journaling and assessing what the hell's wrong with me? Because I felt flat. Things that used to bring me joy did not bring me joy. The job I had worked so hard to get did not bring me the joy. The private practice that I once loved did not bring me the joy. I had to figure out what was going on. And in that, at that time, I realized, now I don't talk about self-care so much anymore because I think it could be gaslighting, but back in that day, I really realized I had no self-care in my life. I mean, if I did something for myself, if I allowed myself any kind of emotional nutrition, I felt guilty. How dare I take a rest? If I'm not working, I'm not valuable. But if I allowed it, it was like this cherry on top of the sundae, right? And I realized self-care, taking care of your nervous system, that's the veritable foundation of your life. And then you can build healthy. So I did a lot of things, and I write about it in the book. Everything I put in the book was my recovery back. But I started making time to journal. I started having a morning routine. I started saying no to some things. I allowed my calendar not to be crammed full. I left my day job and went full time into private practice because that was just too much. I slowly made some changes that helped my nervous system to calm down. And I found a damn good therapist. I found a very good therapist because I had a lot of inner child work to do. I had some old messages that were arriving in my adult life that did not fit anymore. So I had to do a lot of inner child work to take care of little Julie and bring her. And she's still here, but she likes to play now. I'm also a registered play therapist, and I think that was part of bringing Julie back online and getting to play and learning about those things.
Beautiful. I love that you're still communicating and integrating little Julie as part of your work and your like life, because I feel like how often do we hear these conversations where the person is still being led by their inner child without any recognition of it? And
Girl,
it's
I
not
have
fault. We all do it.
We all do it. We all do it. But awareness is our friend there. The more we can be aware. I know when little Julie shows up. Well, she's at different ages. I mean, the 16-year-old Julie is very different from the 2-year-old Julie. And I know her now. And I know when she shows up and I know, okay, sweetness, what is it you're needing? Talk to me. It's going to be okay. Again, I can't go back to how important, how wise that body is, how wise the body is.
Absolutely. Oh my God, literal love language right now. So I'm curious, was what was the first internal shift that helped you stop abandoning yourself? Was it just starting to say no, or was it starting to take the time more so?
I think time. I think allowing my because your nervous system needs some time, that space I talked about to regulate, to see. You're saying it's safe,
Ah,
but is that safe? Yeah. That slow down, and holding space for yourself. Girl, that's so important. And I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea that that was even a thing.
beautiful. What's one way you like to hold space for yourself these days?
Oh, breathing, walking outside, and just drinking in the sunshine. I live in Texas, we have a lot of sunshine. And also not allowing me to be judgy towards myself, because we are so judgy towards ourselves, but replacing that with curiosity. I think that's one of the juiciest things I've done for myself.
Beautiful. So beautiful. And I have to say, I am so big on like the sunshine walks and just integrating with our world around us. I think it's interesting. So we both live in the United States. So I'm curious though, because most people here don't know how to take that pause.
Oh, no.
Or if it feels like a pause, it's more like it's still a walking checklist. They're doing their morning routine and they're doing what looks like these high level productivity aspects that are meant to slow you down, but it's exactly what you were saying earlier. They're on their walk, they're listening to a podcast. They're on a drive, they're listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
They're using that time, which could be very beneficial, especially for those of us who are really busy. But what is your tip for someone who might have resistance to the actual slowing down in terms of, is there something that you would say to get curious about? Because I do find sometimes when we're afraid to be still, there's something we're also avoiding.
I would say 110% of the time we are masterful at compartmentalizing things and staying busy to not go look at that compartment. And it's cliche, but I believe it. I've done it for 30 years. As a therapist, I've watched it. You got to feel it to heal it. So you have got to get embodied. We think here, we feel in our body. So the very first thing you have got to do to even move towards understanding how to hold space, understanding how to step into the yumminess of life, is to get embodied. Where am I feeling what? Be curious. What is it trying to tell me? Can you give me, sometimes if I'm feeling something in wherever I'm feeling it, I'll put my hand on my chest and just ask, help me understand what's going on there. Is there a word you can give me? And your body will give you a word. You've got to learn to listen, but it will
Shape, color.
Yes. It's hungry to talk to you. Like, oh, she's here. She's here. She's talking to us.
Yes. I love this so much because I remember the very first time I actually realized what somatics was. I was in my life coaching certification and they made us do a body scan and I was like, this sounds very woo.
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It sounds very woo. And I literally was sitting there going, okay, I'm all about the woo, but I don't know how comfortable I am with this.
Right.
And it was through that process I was like, oh girl, how long have you been ignoring your body? Because as we were going through different aspects, I was like, I have never really looked at this. You mean I sit here and have this like awkward tightness in my freaking like gut area for no reason? What is going on here? So it was that curiosity, and I still think it's one of the best like little like, as soon as I had that awareness, I was just like, oh my God, but why don't we do this more? And I realized you have to like search for it. So that's where my platform I've been so key on like bringing people back, because I'm like, gosh, so at my heaviest I was like 300 pounds, and a lot of people don't realize I used to get a lot of slack as I was growing up because I grew up as like the big girl. A lot of people were like, oh, your daughter should just be on Weight Watchers or this insert Jenny Craig. I've been through the ringer with my weight loss.
Judgy.
Right, absolutely. And what I came to realize though, I was like, the weight gain wasn't the food, it was the dysregulated emotions.
Yeah, you eat your emotions. You absolutely. I love that you found that for yourself.
Absolutely. And so I was just like, gosh, if we could just have a society that comes back to their body, how different would it, like everyone just operate if we think about that?
Yeah.
Because more people would be I don't want to say you would be 100% regulated, but you'd at least have more of an awareness.
And awareness is where it starts. Without that awareness, we're not going to get there. But yeah, it's an important journey. And I tell you, the chakras and that ancient Eastern wisdom, that's been around for cajillion years. There's got to be something with it. And as an academic, I was very hesitant to go, because I'm also trained as a yoga instructor. It's very hesitant to go into the ancient sciences, but I did my research. That stuff is science backed. I mean, it's not just woo woo. There's actual research to back it up.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, in your perspective, what's happening in a nervous system when a woman is feeling constantly depleted, but even when she feels like she's doing all the right things, marking the check boxes?
Yeah. Well, that's what I call living by rules. And the very first thing I have clients do is create like this little rule book that they take with them. And every time there's a I should or I need to, you write that down and say, who in the hell said you should? And if it doesn't fit, you ask, you have to assess, is this something that's really serving me? I guarantee you 95% of that stuff are messages we got from our family of origin. Love my family of origin, but messages that I internalized that don't serve me. I never asked as an adult, does that serve me? So that's the very first thing I would have her do your rule book, see who says, and if it still fits, because most likely you're over functioning and pouring from an empty cup to where you become the empty cup. So it's time to step back and see what you need. It's okay. We need to give ladies permission to take care of yourself. It's not being selfish. The more we show up complete, evolved, happy, the better we show up for those that love us. There is nothing selfish about taking a hot minute for yourself. No, not a hot minute. You need more than a hot minute, but taking time for yourself. That's that guilt and shame that those inner child messages need to be worked on.
Beautiful. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious because this is all up your wheelhouse. How does nervous system freeze show up in burnout, boundaries, and even sexual desire specifically?
How does it show up? I didn't understand all that. I'm sorry.
How does nervous system freeze show up in burnout, boundaries, and even sexual desire?
Thank you. My Texas ears are. Okay, so like I said, if you're in burnout freeze, or if the nervous system is frozen, your brain is on survival. It's already told your pleasure and desire, you're out of here. You are not needed, because it's very stingy with the energy our brain is. And so the very first thing that's going to go is pleasure. So you're in the bedroom with your spouse, and you're sitting there rocking through your to-do list, having obligatory sex with your spouse. You're not showing up. Your body's not ready. You have to do things to help your nervous system understand you're safe. And I don't mean your spouse is going to hurt you. That it has nothing to do with that. It has the safety of, oh my God, am I going to forget the kid at football practice? Oh, I have this deadline tomorrow. Oh no, what am I having for dinner? What are we fixing for dinner? I didn't wash the blue jeans because I did that today, but it's okay. That nervous system, when it's frozen, is not going to provide for pleasure of any sort. If it's however we might define our pleasure. So we have to do things to let it know it's safe. It is safe. And some of that might be a little CBT thought model. And I love the CBT thought model, where you have a fact, a thought, a feeling, and an action. Those can trigger your nervous system. Our thoughts, just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true. We think it does. Like, oh my God, I thought it's true. It's not. So doing some work around that thought model can help you when it comes to trying to convince your brain, convince that nervous system, we're safe, we're okay. Let's bring some pleasure back online. I have a podcast called Sexy After 50, and I don't want to say things inappropriate on your show, but I just did some things. Pleasure needs novelty. if we've been doing the same 1, 2, 3 in the bedroom for the last, I've been married 35 years, for 35 years, your pleasure is going to go, not only am I stressed, this is boring, I'm out of here. So it's very important to introduce some novelty back into relationships. That's going to help that nervous system unfreeze some. And that opens up some great opportunities with your partner to have some really yummy, safe conversations. Never in the bedroom, ever in the bedroom, never naked, at the kitchen table where no one's going to feel offended or like they've done something wrong. But safety is very important to get that nervous system unfrozen and get pleasure back online.
It also sounds like you need presence, because what you were saying is you might be checking the box, so to speak, with your spouse, but if your brain is still thinking about everything else,
Yeah.
you're not actually enjoying that moment either.
No, because your brain is being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. That nervous system, like, oh my God, I didn't get that deadline. Oh my God, I forgot to pick the kid up. I only did that once. In 43 years, I've only done that once. But
Actually, pivoting, I have a curious question, because I'm big on kind of how our nervous systems react. So what would you say as a professional would be the most, I guess, typical response for a female? I know that it really depends from nervous system to nervous system, but we have the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses. So what do you think is the most common ones, and how do they show up?
right, and you're absolutely right. It depends on the person. If there's a big T trauma or little T trauma, that's going to really impact how that shows up. But just if we're going to do some anecdotal off the top of my head, I'm going to say fawn. Because we want to appease, we want to please, we want to take care of others, and girl, it might be all four. God loves someone if they've got all four showing up in different places, but typically probably the fawn.
Fawn. Okay, interesting. I am a freezer. I can say that. Full fledged. I have noticed it, and I'm in the process of writing my first book, and so I've been reworking through some of my stories, and I'm like, girl froze here, girl froze here. And it's like, I'm laughing about it, but it's just so interesting to have that like awareness of like, oh, you literally just go mute. I have no response. I don't know what to do. Okay, let me just hide in a little corner.
Yeah.
Or under
And
a shelf.
I do a lot of EMDR and internal family systems work, and I would just invite you to love that part of yourself. Just love her, because that freezing was something you needed to do at one time.
Yeah.
And now you don't.
I know.
But
Absolutely.
I am not cognizant of, I've got to, whoop, there it is.
Sorry about that. All right. Wrapping it up. Sorry. Okay, I'm just going to head into, what are you most excited about right now, especially with your new book coming out?
I am so excited about my book and my book tour. I've been popping around to news stations all over the country and having so much fun. But my trip with the kids, and then the hubs and I are hopping over to Spain for about 3 weeks. So that we're living life. We're living life.
Beautiful. And how can women connect with you to go deeper into this work?
www.juliemerrimanphd.com. Everything is on my website.
Beautiful. And then I always end with a quick fire round. Are you ready for me?
Okay.
A book that changed your life.
Book that I'm thinking a lot of textbooks. I can't say I'm sorry. I'm an academic. A lot of textbooks.
All right. A word that describes your current season.
Empowered.
Beautiful.
Sovereign.
Love that. Daily non-negotiable that fuels your power.
I have an hour in the morning to me for coffee, period.
Beautiful. A relationship lesson you wished you learned sooner.
It's not two halves coming together. It's two wholes coming together.
Beautiful. Best advice you've ever received in a single sentence.
You're enough.
Love it. And lastly, what is one thing you want women to stop apologizing for?
Everything. You say I'm beautiful instead of apologizing. Everything.
Well, this is a beautiful conversation. It definitely kind of went all over the place. But this is a reminder that burnout isn't weakness, exhaustion isn't a badge of honor, and self-sacrifice is the price isn't the price of being powerful. Midlife isn't your decline, it's actually a takeover. And a takeover of your energy, your boundaries, your desire, and your visibility. If you're listening and you recognize yourself in this conversation, let this be your permission slip to stop living on fumes and start reclaiming your radiance. Julie, thank you for the work you're doing and reminding women that strength, rooted in regulation, not survival, changes everything. And to everyone tuning in, this is your reminder. You don't have to earn your joy. We'll see you on the next episode of the Rise with Anita podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sweetie. I have got to bounce, but I enjoyed you so much.